Hello, and welcome back to another Minecraft Let's Play video with me, Elven Dragon, here in Feed the Beast Guys 2 on Shadowlands SMP. So last episode we went and built up a couple of reactors to fuel all of our tech and mechanical projects from here on out, and they are working quite well. We've got the fusion reactor fully running, everything's pretty much backed up in terms of energy, and today what I would like to do is I would like to upgrade our storage system into a computer. But before we do that, I want to upgrade a little bit of our resource production for some of the stuff that we are going to need to make that happen. So we have our little mystical agriculture field, which is working fairly well and appears to have completely backed up with diamond and emeralds. So we're going to have to get some drawer expansions for that. But we've gotten another couple harvester pylons because this one isn't going to completely cover this area. And there's a few of these that I want to put on a little bit of a faster production section. And to do that, we are going to need some hydroponic beds, which means we need to dive into industrial foregoing in order to get that to work, which means our first step is going to be to get some latex production going. So I've got this section over here kind of marked out for our industrial foregoing stuff. Got a couple spots here for some eventual projects. But what I think we're going to do is we're going to start with our fluid extractor here. It's just going to go right there. All we have to do is just put down an acacia log in front of that, and that should start producing latex. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take out the bottom here and put in some energy pipes going into there so that we can have that fully automatic and work a little bit faster. But one thing that I want to do with this is we should be able to completely automate this process. So I've got a bonsai pot with an acacia sapling in it, or at least I had one. I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, basically if we put a bonsai pot on top of here, pump it into a block placer and have that automatically place acacia logs, we'll never run out of latex. But all of that is going to need to get pumped into this latex processing unit here, which is going to need a bit of water as well. We'll have to get a sink over here to get that working. But all in all, this should be a pretty good start to our section over here. So I'm gonna let that process up, figure out what's going on with the bonsai pots, and get one set up over here to automatically produce acacia logs for us. And then I'll be right back. Alright, so a little bit later, we've managed to get enough plastic in order to make the block placer that we want, as well as one of the most important machines. But this whole process here is just a little slow. So what I'm thinking is we can go ahead and make some speed add-ons, which it looks like we can just go straight to the tier 2 ones. And that should be really, really nice. It means we don't have to make the tier 1 ones and then upgrade them. Unfortunately, it looks like we only have tier 2 as the max for speed. So we'll have to go ahead and get those. But we can go ahead and get that block placer put in place. Should hopefully be able to get it so that it places stuff in the right direction. So let's go ahead and place that there, and we'll have to go and check. Doesn't look like it. That looks like it's trying to place it into the pipe there. Not quite sure. It looks like we might have to run some power up to it and maybe reorganize it. Will this rotate it? I have no idea. No, it will not. So we may have to go ahead and play around with this, see what we can do here. I think maybe if we do that, that'll work. And then once that goes ahead and it's broken, we'll be able to place that. But what we need is a dissolution chamber. Now we're going to need this for one of our pyramid pieces. It's also going to be really useful for a bunch of other stuff. Specifically, our speed processing and efficiency add-ons. So we can go ahead and get that built up as soon as I grab the gold. Anyway, as I was saying, we can go ahead and get that put in place. I believe if we do that, that should work. I think it probably is going to need power, so we'll have to connect that in here in a minute. But if we put our latex in, 2 diamond gears, 2 glass panes, 2 sugar, and 2 redstone that should craft up once we get this thing attached to power. We probably should have put the power cables running along here. So that will slowly craft up, and that gets us our first step that we have. So that now connected, that should be good. Hopefully we don't have to put too many more pipes under here. So the next thing that we need is we need to get these laser drills in the fluid laser base, which require advanced machine frames. In order to get those, we are going to need some pink slime to craft that from our simple machine frames, which we should be able to do now since those cost latex. And we pretty much have everything here anyway. So we need a mob slaughter factory for that, and probably some way to get mobs over here automatically. I'm thinking we could possibly just have a dispenser with chicken eggs. We have so many chicken eggs from those 4 chickens, and since we haven't been needing feathers for occultism, we should be able to use those as a pink slime source. Alternately, we can just lure a bunch of hostile mobs since some of this area for some reason isn't lighting up. We have torches under here, or feral flare lanterns under here, and I don't know why it's not lighting up. But nothing's spawning, it seems, so that's good at least. So we need to get that set up. We need to get the rest of our speed upgrades in place and get some processing upgrades. And then I think we should be just about good. So I'm going to go get a bunch of that set up, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so a little bit of work dragging mobs from our dreadful dirt spawning area to our mob slaughter factory over here for pink slime has gotten us 2 buckets worth, which should be enough to make all of the lasers and tier 3 machine frames that we need. What we ended up doing over here is we ended up making this box with a bit of dreadful dirt in it. It should be fully blocked out and should in theory spawn stuff. I haven't seen anything in there really, but I did see the pink slime go up, so I presume that it has gotten some mobs to spawn in there. But we need 4 of our advanced machine frames, which I have everything here for. Just have to craft those up. I did go ahead and craft one of them already. Do love the fact that we can just kind of set this in place and let it kind of automatically craft up. But for this, we are going to need a stasis chamber for each of our little modules here. So if we go ahead and put that in, that will just keep the mobs that we are putting in here from moving. Put that on, we can see exactly how big that is. Maybe we built this a little tall. I don't know. But hopefully this should work. We can escape it, but the mobs that we're going to put in will not. So our other 2 advanced machine frames are going to be for our laser drill bases. So we need a soul laser base, which I do not have the stuff for right now, which is fine because it's not the important one. I also don't have stuff for the fluid laser base, but these are going to need upgrades to them as well because these are going to be what keeps our wither from destroying this area, just in case the wither-proof glass isn't enough for this area. So if we kind of hop in here and fail at placing soul sand in this area, we should be able to summon our wither here, and it'll grow up, it won't be able to fly out. And that should work. Our cage here is wither-proof, so that's currently kept in stasis. We'll have to get some upgrades and stuff so that doesn't die from our laser drill, because this guy needs a fluid laser drill above him to get ether. And we need ether for our hydroponic beds to make those function a little bit better. Don't quite have everything for that. We need fertilizer, which means that we need to get a sewage compost. Get a mob above that. Ideally like a sheep or a cow. Something that we've got running around here. And that'll get us the sewage we need to get our hydroponic beds. So we've got a little bit more work to do getting the laser set up. I do have the actual drills here that are going to go on top of this. So go ahead and get those set up. It looks like those are going whichever way we face them. So we'll have to go ahead and go around here. Definitely gonna have to expand this building up a block to get all of these contained in the actual building. Still haven't figured out what we want to do for the roof. Still playing around with what I want to do for design-wise on the outside of this thing. But there we go. There's our drills for our wither. Now our warden is going to go in this one here, which that's going to be fun. I think we're just going to use the occultism summon the possessed warden. I think that should work just fine for this. Possessed mobs work just fine for the Drigme, so I suspect it should work okay for the soul laser as well. But for this to work, we need some laser bases and upgrades. So I'm going to go ahead and get those set up, and then I'll be right back. All right, so we've done a little bit of work. We got our warden in place. We have our wither in place, and we are all set up for both of our lasers. We just need one more piece, a lens. So this purple laser lens will let us get our wither set up here, and the blue one will be for our soul surging. And we can then use that to speed up just about anything, I believe, but we're pretty much going to exclusively use it for our hydroponic beds. Before we can get our little hydroponic beds, we do need to go ahead and drop a sheep onto there. That should, I believe, that should slowly produce sewage and turn that into compost, I believe. But we'll have to wait and see. We do need that. But I believe that should be just about everything that we need down here. Unless there's another machine that I'm forgetting, which is a possibility. But that composter is what we need to get fertilizer. But up on top here on our second level, as you can see, I've just been kind of building up a small little section. We got some soul pipes here so we can start setting up the soul surges. But we need the hydroponic beds in place in order to get that properly set up. But we can put in our purple laser lens in there. We're starting to get our ether. We need that for our beds. And then over here, if we can carefully place in our little soul laser base here, got some dirt here that we need for the hydroponic bed. So we'll just use that there. There we go. There's our base. Those should all be working. Let's get the lens. And now, if we built that wrong. Anyway, let's try that again. That needed to be down one extra block there. That should, in theory, work. If that's still too high, okay, we may have to lower this down a little bit. Either that or the possessed warden isn't going to work for this. Fortunately, he's still in the stasis there, so we're good. But he definitely does not look right for how this is supposed to be. Okay, so what's interesting is if we place him in there, we can get him to be in the right spot to do this, but then he just kind of stays there and doesn't really do anything, and we're not getting any of our soul surges. So I think we need to lower this down by a block, which is going to make this a little uneven, but it should be fine. But we are getting ether in our fluid laser base, which is good. So that's at least working. And yeah, we're not getting anything in our soul laser base here. So we'll have to play around with that. But all in all, I'm quite happy with how this is going. Again, we just need the last little bit in order to get those hydroponic beds. Then we can get those set up. So we've got the stuff to make 4 of them because there's 4 different seeds I want to set up here. I want redstone. I want our Certus quartz, our silicon, and our flux. And that's because those are the 4 that we are going to need the most to set up our AE2 system. We need a lot of gold, we need a lot of diamonds, but we have a decent amount of diamonds already. Between our essences and our bees and our gold, we can basically have the same thing, but that can also be processed using our ore quintupling system. So I think we'll be okay. All we need is just to get a better source of redstone here. So I'm gonna go figure out why our soul laser and our sewage maker here isn't working, and then I'll be right back. All right, so a bit of reorganization and a lot of configuration later. We now have hopefully everything set up here to be able to start working with our hydroponic beds. Now, we did have to move our soul laser down a block, but that is how the warden is supposed to look. We're not getting any souls in there, so maybe these need to go a little bit faster. I think we should be able to get some upgrades into those. But our ether gas production is going quite well. Again, we might get some upgrades into our lasers. And now all that remains is put in our soul surges. So those should hopefully speed these up. We can get our seeds in there, put our redstone there, and all that's left is to go ahead and get these connected up. Now, we're going to be putting our surges all the way around our beds here. I think we might be able to get one more on the bottom here as well, but I don't think that's going to be completely necessary. So, in order to get the fluids we need into here, though, what we're going to do is we have entangled blocks. So we have these quantum entangleporter. Those should hopefully connect in, I think. Once we, of course, set our frequency and link the blocks. So now those should be pumping into there. Give us all of our ether. It does have its own buffer there. It's not transporting into there just yet. So I'll have to play around and see what's going wrong here, but it should be pretty much everything set up. All right, so it turns out I had the wrong block in here, and we don't need entangleporters. We need these entangled blocks. We should be able to bind those and do that. So now that should start giving that ether gas, and that should start growing our redstone seeds here. We can speed these up. The soul surging is supposed to speed up as well, but does not seem to be working right now. So what we can do is we can bind the rest of these. We can at least get some of these set and ready, so that once these get going, we'll be able to properly soul surge these all. So at the very least, we have a little bit faster farm here. I need to figure out what's going on with the soul laser here, why this isn't working. But for now, I think that is probably going to be it for today. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more of what is going on this island. And I will catch you all in the next one. Goodbye.